This is the second episode of my story about how I discovered that the blood of artists flowed through my veins. Before we continue, please like and follow the channel for more incredible stories of strength and overcoming. Then leave a comment about what you thought of the story. A few months after discovering my mother's secret, I began accompanying her to the radio station. It was a very beautiful and large building located in the center of Kabul, very close to the Afghan presidential palace, and also next to the American embassy. An imposing construction that impressed any 5-year-old child. I was excited with great expectation. My mother introduced me to all her theater colleagues who worked creating wonderful stories for thousands of listeners throughout Afghanistan. That day, she opened another chapter of my life, as she was going to record a very special radio drama. My mother asked the producer to give me a chance to play a role in that dramatic program. He said there was a perfect part I could do with my childish voice. I remember my role perfectly. I was a boy selling newspapers on the busy streets of London, shouting loudly to sell the product. That was my first professional performance. I practiced intensely and learned quickly with her dedicated help, who patiently taught me how to project my voice correctly and express different emotions through spoken words. That day was one of the best of my life because after that, I began frequenting the radio constantly, participating in various different programs with great joy. We were having so much fun in those golden days that we completely forgot about my father's severe attitude and his strict restrictions regarding art and music. During those extremely happy days, I constantly thought about my dear maternal grandfather and the valuable lessons he had taught me about expressing deep feelings through art. One particularly cold winter night, we waited impatiently for the broadcast of our new radio drama that would be presented to the entire country. My mother felt my great excitement and said lovingly, "Calm down, my dear son. Very soon they will broadcast the show. Don't worry. You did an absolutely fantastic job as you always do." I gave her a warm hug and thanked her emotionally for always taking me to the radio and allowing me to participate in that magical world. That night, unfortunately, my father was not normal. Something very bad had happened at work related to his fruit plantations. He continued drinking alcohol heavily and seemed extremely angry, talking to himself meaningless words. After my mother lovingly wished my brothers and sisters good night, she especially asked me to go to the kitchen to listen to our special program. The show finally began, and we were both very excited and nervous to hear our performance being broadcast on national radio. I anxiously asked to turn up the volume a bit to better enjoy our artistic performance. She said nervously and worriedly that my father could easily hear us from the living room. I replied confidently, "Don't worry, dear mother. He is completely drunk and certainly cannot hear us." But I was terribly wrong in that decision. That terrible night, something absolutely horrible happened that I will never forget for the rest of my entire life. Suddenly, unexpectedly, my father violently opened the kitchen door and clearly saw us listening to the radio. He immediately heard our voices coming distinctly from the device. He brutally pulled the radio from her hands with great force and shouted furiously, "I cannot believe you are completely dishonoring me and dishonoring my entire respectable family. Now you also take my own son with you to that absolutely filthy place." We instantly lost all color from our faces from pure terror. He violently broke the radio on the floor into thousands of small pieces. He cowardly tried to hit my defenseless mother with the sharp remains of the broken device. At that critical moment, I courageously placed myself in front of him, not allowing in any way for him to hurt her, as my wise grandfather had taught me about courageously protecting those we love. My father was completely intoxicated and almost completely lost his balance, swaying dangerously. My mother firmly grabbed my small hand, and we desperately ran to the house exit door. It was an extremely cold and snowy night. The streets were completely frozen and slippery. We ran terrified from home without protective shoes or adequate warm clothing, quickly hiding in the frozen and thorny bush of our garden. We stayed shivering from cold, patiently waiting for him to completely calm down or go to sleep. After a long, agonizing time waiting, we finally decided to return because of the intense cold that was freezing our feet. She quickly took me to the heated room, carefully placing a thick and warm blanket around me, saying with a trembling voice, "Don't worry, my dear son. Everything will certainly be well again. I solemnly promise that one day you will be a world-famous artist like your talented grandfathers, whose important works are proudly displayed in the National Museum. I will always be here faithfully to protect you." That absolutely terrible night, while I trembled uncontrollably under the protective blanket, I thought deeply about my dear maternal grandfather and how he wisely said that true art makes us more human and sensitive. I also thought in detail about the masterful paintings of my other grandfather in the museum and how they perfectly captured the deepest essence of the human soul. My mother lovingly sat beside me on the comfortable bed and began singing softly a nostalgic song from her own childhood. Her sweet voice still trembled visibly from fear, but there was a strong iron determination that powerfully reminded me of the impressive strength of the paintings I saw in the prestigious National Museum. In the extremely difficult following days, the heavy atmosphere in our house completely changed for the worse. My authoritarian father barely spoke a word to us. During absolutely all family meals, he ate in complete sepulchral silence, carefully avoiding our hurt eyes. My brave mother desperately tried to maintain daily routine normalcy, but I clearly saw much deep sadness reflected in her tired face. The completely broken radio remained abandoned in the kitchen for many consecutive days as a painful and constant reminder of the terrible incident. Small pieces scattered disorderly on the cold floor that absolutely no one dared to clean, symbolically representing all the unresolved family tension in our house. During those extremely difficult and challenging weeks, I secretly continued religiously drawing in the special notebook that my caring grandfather had given me as a gift. I drew detailed and exciting scenes of what happened, desperately trying to express all the confused feelings through art. As he patiently taught me, years passed like pages of a book being turned by the winds of time. I, Wahid Omid, was now a teenager full of dreams and experiences that bubbled in my young and restless soul. Theater had become my second home, a place where I breathed art and lived every emotion with maximum intensity. I portrayed characters in hilarious comedies and touching dramas, sharing sacred stages in Kabul with the greatest Afghan artists of the era. I remember with deep affection the names that marked my artistic youth like bright stars in the night sky. Hoji Kamran, with his magnetic presence that dominated any stage. Abdul Hakim Atref, master of facial expression who could convey 1,000 emotions with a simple look. Mortaza Baikra, the veteran who knew all the secrets of theatrical interpretation. They were true giants of Afghan art, and I, a young apprentice thirsty for knowledge, absorbed every movement, every word, every emotion they transmitted to the ecstatic audience. It was the beginning of a great journey in my life, an adventure that promised to be epic and transformative. I was not alone in this extraordinary artistic journey. Many other talented children and teenagers participated in radio programs, creating a true community of young artists in formation. Among them, I met Saif Hadaf, a young actor of my exact age who would become my friend and journey companion. We shared similar dreams, comparable fears, and a burning passion for theatrical art. His uncle, Azizullah Hadaf, was a great and famous theatrical artist respected throughout Afghanistan, responsible for many theater programs on radio, and an influential figure in the national artistic scene. Everything seemed perfect in my artistic life until a singular opportunity completely changed my perspective on artistic life and its complexities. The famous filmmaker and producer Farida Anwar, a pioneering woman in Afghan cinema, was producing a promising film, and I had secured a very interesting and challenging role. My heart beat strongly with pure emotion every time I thought about this opportunity. It was my great chance to shine in cinema, to show my talent in a different medium and reach an even larger audience. But life is not always fair to passionate dreamers. Azizullah Hadaf the powerful uncle of my friend Saif, arbitrarily decided that I should not portray that much desired character. He simply took away my role that I had earned through merit and handed it as a gift to his nephew. It was one of the most devastating and disappointing moments of my entire life. Thousands of painful questions hammered incessantly in my confused head. Why? Why was this happening precisely to me? What had I done wrong to deserve such injustice? When I finally gathered courage to confront Mr. Haddoff, asking for an honest explanation for his cruel decision, his response was like a precise stab to my young and hopeful chest. He looked deeply and coldly into my eyes and pronounced words that I would never be able to forget, words that would echo in my mind for years. My son, you simply are not ready to portray this complex character. Theater is not a place for you, boy. Don't waste any more of your precious time on these fantasies. Find something completely different in your life. Perhaps music would be more suitable for your limitations. In that devastating moment, I felt as if my entire carefully constructed artistic world collapsed like a house of cards in the wind. I had dedicated so much valuable time, so much genuine passion, so much sincere love to theater, and now an influential person was cruelly telling me that everything was a waste of time, that my efforts were useless, and my dreams were just childhood illusions. That dark and melancholic night, I arrived home completely devastated, emotionally shattered and questioning my entire artistic future. My mother, Mari, with her sharp maternal intuition, immediately perceived my disturbed emotional state. We sat together in the cozy kitchen, where so many important and transformative conversations had already taken place over the years, and I completely unburdened everything I had experienced on that terrible and traumatizing day. Unfortunately, my dear son, said my mother with her sweet and infinitely understanding voice, there are petty people in this world who cowardly take advantage of their power and position for their own selfish benefits. But don't worry or despair. You are still learning about life and discovering yourself as an artist. You are a talented and dedicated actor, and I deeply believe in your extraordinary potential. I was completely devastated, destroyed inside. I told her with a trembling voice that I had completely lost my burning passion for theater and that I no longer wanted to return to the radio station. I felt as if an essential part of me had died on that fateful day. But my wise mother, with her infinite maternal wisdom, did not let me give up so easily on my dreams. Don't give up so easily, my brave son, she told me with loving firmness. You are a true-born artist. It runs in your veins. You have to work hard and fight bravely for your deserved success. Maybe you could start making music? I clearly see that you deeply love music and listen to many different artists with genuine admiration. Why don't you try singing? Why don't you explore this talent that might be hidden inside you? Her enlightened words lit a small spark of hope within my wounded heart. I had never even considered the possibility that I could sing or make music professionally. The idea was simultaneously frightening and incredibly exciting, like an unknown adventure calling my name. All right, Mother, I replied, still hesitant, but with a small renewed gleam in my eyes. I'll try to enroll in the music and art classes at my school. Maybe it will be the beginning of something new and wonderful. My mother smiled radiantly and told me surprising news. She personally knew a group of excellent professional musicians who worked in the ASA, prestigious folk music department of Afghan radio. She solemnly promised to speak with them about me and my possibilities. My heart raced with renewed emotion. Meeting experienced professional musicians and learning something completely new from them would be a potentially transformative and unforgettable experience. The following days passed with a delicious and expectant anxiety, a delightful mixture of nervousness and hope. Finally, the day arrived. My mother took me to a completely different part of the radio station, a sector I had never visited before. There we found the musicians she had mentioned. It was a specialized band that played traditional Uzbek folk musical instruments. The group was called Zephyr, a name that meant victory in our language. The band manager received me with genuine warm hospitality. His name was Ustad Shafi, a kind, humble, an extraordinarily talented man who radiated musical knowledge and artistic wisdom. He carefully introduced me to the other musicians, each one a true virtuoso master of their specific instrument. There were players of rhubarb, timbre, tabla, and other traditional instruments that created magical and enveloping sounds. After carefully testing my voice and meticulously evaluating my natural musical talent, Ustad Shafi handed me a traditional song to learn and practice together with them. I remember perfectly the transformative moment. On the same day, I managed to completely learn and sing that new music with surprising naturalness. It was as if the melody had been sleeping inside me for years, patiently waiting to be discovered and liberated. "We have to do a professional test in the studio," said the band manager on that same memorable day, "to evaluate how your voice sounds when professionally recorded." We reverently entered the famous Studio Number 48, a legendary space where many historical recordings had been made. My heart beat like an accelerated drum while we meticulously prepared to record. It was the first time in my life that I sang in front of a high-quality professional microphone, accompanied by an experienced and respected group of musicians, and moreover interpreting a song in Uzbek language, which was my native tongue. The music we recorded was called Büyük Semen Bayram, a traditional song full of emotion and cultural meaning. Each note that sprouted from my throat seemed to carry all the emotion, all the passion, all the history I had accumulated throughout my years of life. It was liberating beyond words. It was magical in an inexplicable way. It was my true destiny finally revealing itself in a glorious manner. The recording went absolutely perfectly, as if it were a dream becoming reality. On that same historical day, the radio transmitted my song to all of Afghanistan. A few days later, I discovered something extraordinary that would change my life forever. My music had been a resounding and unexpected success. The public not only liked it, but deeply loved my interpretation. My first song became incredibly popular throughout the country, and the radio station played it several times a day, responding to the insistent requests of enchanted listeners. If you have made it this far, please leave your like and subscribe to the channel to follow my story. Thanks to Zafar Band, impressed with my immediate success, enthusiastically invited me to sing many more songs with them, and I accepted without the slightest hesitation. The prestigious Afghan Central Television also extended an honorable invitation for me to perform on their high-audience programs. In a surprisingly short time, I became genuinely famous throughout the country through music, something I had never imagined possible. Finally, after so much pain and disappointment, I was truly happy doing exactly what I loved with all my heart. I was becoming a respected and beloved musician, and I felt with absolute certainty that this was really my predetermined destiny. Theater had wounded me deeply, but music was completely healing me and showing me a new path, bright and full of infinite possibilities. But this is just another crucial part of my extraordinary journey. New unexpected challenges, new golden opportunities, and new ambitious dreams were still waiting for me on the horizon. Music had opened a magical door, but what I would find on the other side of that door still remained a fascinating mystery, waiting patiently to be revealed.
ایام پیکر بزبون اتمن فلکایت آهم نکتونه ایام پیکر بزبون اتمن چطورا جیلتی جان و کنگونه کوزی غارت گرم بزن اونوتمن چطورا جیلتی جان و کنگونه کوزی غارت گرم بزن اونوتمن چطورا جیلتی جان و کنگونه کوزه غارت گرم بزبون اتمن چطورا جیلتی جان و کنگونه کوزه غارت گرم بزبون اتمن سیور جانم بگم خانم امیده عزیزم دلبرم بزن اونوتمن سیور جانم بگم خانم امیده عزیزم دلبرم بزن